Christina Lunkuse, and I'm the investment manager at ASIGMA, here to speak to you today about one of the most exciting projects that we have worked on, East Africa Medical Vitals. We'll just call them EAMV. EAMV is one of the clients of ASIGMA who has gone through our entire service offering. It's the first of its kind manufacturing plant in East Africa producing medical consumables. What we have done with EAMV is create an idea where we are saying, look, instead of continuously importing these things, what would it take for these to be locally manufactured? And there was an idea. And when you have ASIGMA in the room, what we do best is prepare, fundraise, develop, and manage projects for our clients. Prepare means, they had this idea, we beefed it up, run a feasibility study, run a market study. What is moving fastest? How can you lock in the market? For what quality and at what price? No one was doing this, like we've said. This is the first manufacturing plant in the region. This skill was nowhere in East Africa. So we went to Asia, we spoke to some of the large manufacturers there. We obtained some full-time advisors or consultants from these companies who have experience working in these big manufacturing companies to come and help us set up in Uganda. So once we had done the technical feasibility and understood what it was going to take at a technical level to execute this, we then ran a couple of numbers, and quickly what that showed was it was going to be very expensive to do all the products at once. So we decided, okay, what makes most sense to penetrate the market? A couple of other parameters which we identified and decided, okay, let's phase this up and first start with gloves and prioritize this as our first product. So preparation involved the feasibility studies, preparation involved creating the business plan, strategic planning, pitch deck, investor memos, and all these things. And then we moved to the next phase, which is fundraising. We had some equity partners already, and what they needed was to leverage their assets and get some debt. Our role then became going to different financiers, locking deals in, understanding negotiating terms, understanding what was required. We had run the numbers, so we knew what the company could afford. And in the end, what that translated into was a locked-in deal with East African Development Bank, who became our lead debt financer. So once we locked that in, we went into the third phase, which was the develop and manage. Construction, development, working with contractors, you have suppliers, you have your financiers, and there were very many moving parts. So we played a central role of one, supporting EAMV on the reporting to their investors, because it was very important that, capital calls are not made at once. As what usually happens in such projects is that investors get itchy because they've given you some money, they ask me how you're utilizing, you're not reporting well. So what we did for EAMV was just make sure none of those questions ever came up, and that created what I would describe as an excellent investor and client relationship. So we took over their finance office. Finance became a centralized function within ASIGMA. We supported them in terms of actually getting licenses from NEMA, get approvals from UIA, regulatory permits. I would say what we did was we handheld them from the start to the finish, and all that work has culminated into what you see today, which is East Africa Medical Vitals, the factory at Namamve Industrial Park, which is now officially open and in production.